I found Chantal and the Finnish lady and others so entertaining. It was so funny because I lived in Sweden before, so I recognize a lot of the cultural things. Very exciting.
Yeah,
That's
the
great.
tree hugging was the height of my morning so far.
Excellent. So are we ready to go, or?
Yeah, the floor is yours. We'll go ahead and hop off and let you take over from here.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, thanks, Peter and Pablo. Okay, good.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, hi everyone. So we saw very nicely what Chantal and the Finnish lady, they were giggling all the time. I can't give you such a giggle feast. It was absolutely funny. I can only say I did live in Sweden too, and a lot of the culture with the with the way of jumping to the bath, ice bath, lakes and so on is very familiar to me. I'm actually based here in Kelowna at the moment, and I thought instead of giving you something from the area, which I've done before, I want to give you something really special. So I've prepared a special some media clips here from one of my favorite places in the world. I've lived in many places. It's absolutely fantastic. But one of my absolute favorite ones is on the Aleutian Islands. So I'm going to try and jump over now, and I hope this works with the virtual camera. So what you see here is a map of North America. Now, typically, when you go to places in North America, well, what do we think of? Grand Canyon, Disneyland, and so on, many of these places. But what most people are not aware is there's a very beautiful part of the States, at least in my opinion, that is completely hidden. It's very different. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on this area. So a lot of people go to Hawaii, right? Hawaii. And they usually would think that Hawaii is probably the most western part. Hi, everyone. I'm just seeing all seeing all of you jump in. Thanks for joining. It's very nice. So I'll be reading your comments in parallel, but I'm just going to give you the introduction here. So I'm going to take you to a place of the world that in my view is one of the most exciting places. And it's actually west of Hawaii. So if you look carefully, you'll see Hawaii right down at the bottom middle of the map. And you can see my marker up there. That's where we're going, to the Aleutian Islands. And I'm going to go to the next picture now. The Aleutian Islands is actually a ring, sort of, it looks a bit like a bowl that extends all the way from Alaska. It's an extension of Alaska and goes all the way you're fairly down to 50, I think it's about 53 degrees, all the way to the east to Kamchatka, right, which borders then on Russia. So it's very exciting. I lived in Kodiak Island. So, Louis, then you know absolutely what I'm talking about. That is great. So it's a very exciting area. It's also very volcanic. So it's very rich in soil. And obviously, the Bering Sea, which you can see to the north here, you can see the incredible geological structure here, is very rich in fish. It's one of the most richest, the richest areas in fishing in the world. In fact, it has 1 million tons of pollock every year, and you may have seen The Deadliest Catch and other movies. Well, this is the scene that you're looking at. You have prevailing, very strong winds from the Bering Sea, and it's a very rough area. So it's quite incredible. So I'm going to take you there. So how do you even get there? How do you even get there? Well, this is where the excitement really starts, because you have to fly into Anchorage first. And from Anchorage, everything in Anchorage is very much like a US airport usually is, right? What is a US airport? Well, it's line-up securities and so on, right? That's like every airport around the world, isn't it? So it's just very normal. But then you go down somewhere, or maybe it's up now. It depends on who's gone bankrupt and who's still flying. Maybe it's Penn Air, whoever. But there is a special counter there, and you go there, and it's a propeller machine, and it looks very different. First of all, the people there are very different. You get from these sort of holiday people to quite rough very, very strong fishermen type of people that are used to really rough work. It's just very different. The video keeps cutting out. Oh, wait a second. The video keeps cutting out. Uh, okay. If there are technical problems, let me know. But oh, it looks fine. Okay, well, that's good to know. Well, just let me know where there are technical problems, because I'm using a virtual camera because I've got so much media. So sometimes there are some issues. But yeah, thanks, Pablo, for giving me the heads up. And let me know if there are any technical issues. Okay, thanks. So anyway, so it's not easy to fly to the Aleutians because the prevailing winds are so strong. They used to have a huge Boeing flying there, and the winds were so strong they always had to um, basically cancel the flights. So they have a very strong Saab 2000 engine now. It takes about 39 passengers, and I've been out there 3 times, and and the pictures are backwards. Are they backwards? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's backwards. It doesn't really matter. But I'm going to show you now how you fly into Dutch Harbor, and hopefully this will work. But it's absolutely magnificent. You can see already the very volcanic, typically Alaskan landscape, and it was a beautiful day then. It is absolutely incredible. It is. You can see the landscape is, and you can see you can see the runway there as we come in. And what is so incredible is it's quite a short runway. And in 2019, there was an accident actually there. So there was an accident. By the way, Captain Jack just is there. So I went there with Captain Jack. He can't come in. Captain Jack is the one who made me aware of Dutch Harbor, and it's absolutely incredible. I've been there with him twice, and he's actually captain of a fisherman boat, and he's written this incredible book, and I'll show you that later. But you can already see how exciting everything is. But then when you come into Dutch Harbor, you can see how rough the landscape is. I mean, just have a look. This is not atypical for a Dutch harbor, because the salt and everything is so strong, and it just gets really rough. It gets really. Peter says he's been there. Hey, that's great, Peter. So then you know what I'm talking about. Hi, Amanda. Wonderful to see you. That's great. So yeah. So it's fairly rough. And it's so different. It's a completely different world there. Suddenly the weather changes completely from a sunshine to complete. Yeah, I might get a little bit of problem sometimes showing the video, but I think you get the idea here. I hope you can see there's a couch there, and there's an eagle sitting next to a couch outside, and it's snowing like crazy. Yeah, I'm frame dropping. I know. The frame dropping is happening because I think, yeah, now it's working again. But I think that's a little bit of problem sometimes with the virtual camera. So I hope it'll be okay, right? What's up with the truck? Well, it's just such rough weather. They put a lot of salt there because it gets very icy, and everything rusts there, right? So it's quite crazy. But what I really like, and that's a picture from that Captain Jack took, is I went there for the eagles, right? So you may know by now, I'm very much attached to eagles, and they're just absolutely incredible. And what's so nice is they live there in symbiosis with the fishermen. That's what's so unusual, and that's what Captain Jack actually introduced me to. So they live very close with the eagles there, and unlike the eagles, yeah, that's all taken with the iPhone. Exactly, Captain Jack. It's all taken with the iPhone. So I was there with the iPhone taking pictures, and the eagles more or less land right in front of you. It's so unusual. It's something that I've actually never seen anywhere else. And I hope this won't cut out too much. Let's see. Yeah, no, it's not frame dropping at the moment. But we had some fun. We put a little eagle, which we called Fluffy. We put it there in the snow and wanted to see how a little juvenile. So eagles are a bit different. The really black ones, the really black eagles, they are young. Okay, they're juveniles, And as they grow older, they get this typically white head. So at the age of 4 or 5, and they look a bit different. But we were just experimenting. So we just put a fluffy there and saw how this young juvenile is actually playing with it. So it was quite incredible because you get such. I mean, you can be quite close to wildlife here without really affecting wildlife because they live so much with the fishermen. So you just basically have to sit there and observe them. It was a lot of fun. Also, I mean, you get this incredible pictures. I mean, look at this. This was done with my iPhone, actually. It was quite incredible. So this was an eagle who was just fighting with another eagle. And you get these dream pictures that you usually can never get, right? Of course, it takes quite a lot. See, amazing, isn't it amazing? The beanie baby eagle is on my desk, says Captain Jack. So we still have that little eagle. I'm very glad that Jack Molan is actually coming in with a lot of comments here. It's helping. So he's keeping this conversation a bit lively. He was supposed to be on here at the moment, but I want to show you also how incredibly rough the landscape is. I mean, can you see the eagles? I mean, you're used to having eagles in nests, right? Well, eagles don't have nests in Dutch Harbor because there are no trees. There are no trees. I have to really repeat that. So they actually lay the eggs and so on right up on the cliffs. Isn't it incredible? So that's what makes it so unusual. And you have these very strong winds. At one time, I was there with Jack, and we were trying to do an interview with ourselves for a documentary, and the wind was so strong it just took my whole camera and blew it right over. So you have to be very careful. Your equipment can get quite damaged. But what surprises me is the resilience of the eagles in very strong wind. You can see that's a pair. Typically, the female is larger than the male, but you can see what it's doing to its feathers. And if you wonder, I just want to see if I can find. If you want to see how rough it really is, then have a look at this. This is what happens to the flags. That's why you don't put out flags there. They get completely torn apart, and it's rather symbolic to have an eagle on top of the US flag here, that it was completely torn by the wind because it's so rough. There's absolutely nothing that can, that can withstand the wind here. It is really rough, Jane says, spectacular photos. The eagles are magnificent and beautiful. And Amanda says, I find this very interesting that the eagles are 30% bigger, thank you for reminding me, than the ones found in British Columbia because they have to take their harsher conditions. Thank you, Amanda. That's a great point. And the eagles there in Dutch Harbor, exactly for the reason that just Amanda mentioned, are physically a lot bigger. And if you compare them to the Florida eagles on the East Coast, my goodness, the eagles look so much smaller there. So it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. So let me give you some more crazy things that go on in Dutch Harbor. So this is another typical thing. This was in front of a supermarket. You won't believe this. So that's Jack Molan, my friend, going around. And there was, so they throw out a bit of fish. And there was an eagle just sitting on the ice fish and taking it apart. And this is so typical for there. I mean, you see so many things that you don't even know, and they're huge. And you actually have to be careful because the eagles are quite used to people there. They really are, in a very good way, because a lot of the waste fish that fishermen have, they give to the eagles. And that's why the eagles migrate to Dutch Harbor in winter. They do such similar things, by the way, also in Hokkaido. I've seen this in Japan. And it's a very positive symbiosis between man and animals, because the human beings, we are taking more and more land away from wildlife, and there has to be a balance. So this type of symbiosis is one of the positive things that allows eagles to survive in winters with them and still respecting them being wildlife, because they will then take off to the areas, they will migrate and run their normal lives. So that's really something. Yeah, that was an 800 millimeter lens. Yes, that's absolutely right. I just wanted to also show you some incredible stills. I mean, this is the type of thing. I just took my 800 millimeter lens. One of the most beautiful things you can have as a wildlife photographer is when eagles take off from the water. It's a very difficult process because they have this butterfly stroke, which you can see at the moment, and it takes off. So I just wanted to show you the whole sequence of images here as it goes through the butterfly stroke, right? I mean, each of these are a typical, almost National Geographic type of image because it's just so beautiful. You can see the whole takeoff here, the whole sequence until it finally, takes off. So I think you get the point. This is absolutely magnificent material, isn't it? Yes, it is. It is amazing. Those are amazing shots, aren't they? It's really. I also wanted to show you a little bit. And that's what Jack Molan, my friend, the fisherman, always emphasizes. You can see here the symbiosis between eagles and fishermen. So what is this eagle doing? The eagle's about 10 feet away from me, and so close that I can hardly get it completely on the frame. So it's picking out pollock through the fishing nets here, right? And that's what you so typically see, right? So it's it's quite something. I mean, eagles are huge. They can weigh up all the way to 15, 16 pounds. And they're doing this right in front of you. They're landing on fishing boats and they're feeding off there. And that keeps them, that keeps them going in winter. What is also quite beautiful, I mean, here you can see, I hope the frames won't drop out now, but this is so beautiful because you can see the different stages of juveniles here. They're sitting next to each other, just enjoying themselves. These are possibly 2 to 3-year-old juveniles, and they're sitting there just enjoying themselves. And it's just many of these scenes, you can see this is at the harbor, which you typically would not be able to take, right? And let's see if I can show you this one. Hopefully this won't cut out. It'll cut out a little bit. It's going to be a little bit jerky here. Some frames are cutting out. It may, but I think you get the idea. Okay, I'm getting some frame cuts here because it's. I think that's a 4K video and it's struggling a little bit to broadcast this. But I think you're getting the idea. You're getting the idea that. There are eagles landing right there at the harbor, right next to where people are. So it's quite remarkable. And I have to show you this one too, because it's just funny. I'm lying here on the ground, flat on the ground with my iPhone, and I'm just putting my head back and just enjoying the eagles. I wanted to take the eagles really from the pure ground level, and that's what it looks like. These type of crazy things you can only do in Dutch Harbor. It's absolutely fun. Okay, and then there is a very special. Well, I just wanted to show you also how large these eagles are. My shoe size is 14, and you can see that's a footprint of a talon there, and it's quite big, isn't it? So you get these wonderful shots that you can do in the snow where you can see how huge they are, right? I mean, I'm not the smallest guy. I'm 6'5", by the way. So you get the idea, right? And then sometimes you get just the perfect shot. This is what I would have called the perfect shot. Where you get an eagle, you can see how maneuverable they are. And it's just beautiful, right? I mean, in this case, the wing is, I mean, they're doing these crazy maneuvers to catch fish. And you could see it's got a pollock in its talon that it caught, and it's doing these evasive maneuvers to avoid other eagles. Okay, so this is in Dutch Harbor, by the way, for those of you who've just jumped in and asked where this is. So this is on the Aleutian Islands. It's west of Hawaii. It's quite west of Hawaii. In fact, Dutch Harbor is on Alaskan time. So at the moment, Pacific time, we have 20 past 10, okay, a.m. So Alaskan time is 20 past 9. Hawaiian time is 20 past 8. So they're 2 hours behind Pacific. However, Dutch Harbor is on Alaskan time, and it's west of Dutch Harbor, which is really crazy. And that's why the mornings are, so when you wake up at 9 a.m., it's dark, but the whole daytime, the day night time is completely wrong. They should actually be 1 hour west of Hawaii, right? But they're not. So it really makes it crazy, absolutely crazy. And of course, I have to show you a few other things. Hopefully, not too many frame drops on this one. Let's just try this one. Yeah, it's a bit of frame drops again. My apologies for that, but I mean, you get the idea. They're just here having a feast there. So I won't keep this frame in too long, but I also wanted to show you typically what it looks like as a photographer, how crazy it is. So that's me in the snowstorm on the back of our truck, right next to the eagles. But you really have to be quite, you really you have to be prepared for quite rough weather. And very often you have very strong winds, and you have to be very careful of your camera equipment. But if you have I would never survive in the wind. Of course you would, Pablo. I'm quite sure you would. It's, oh, there the camera's going skew and so on. But you could see, I think you get the idea. Those are for crabs, right? And the eagles pick out the rest of the crabs there. And so we just drove there with a vehicle taking images. I think you get the idea of how incredible it is. Now I want to really get to the highlight of everything. So the highlight for me was to take slow motion images. So I took a very special high-speed camera along, and I took the most beautiful slow motion cameras. This went to National Geographic, by the way, because what you can show here is so absolutely incredible. As you can see, this is a bald eagle. Virtually, I had to move the camera incredibly fast, but this is all happening in real time in about between 1 and 2 seconds. It's so fast, and you have to get the focus right. It's very difficult to maneuver high-speed cameras, and this is so beautiful because you can see the movement here of the wings. This is an adult eagle flying right next to me, so close, and you can see the fish there even in the back. So that's a 1 in a million shot that you can get. It's very difficult to get because you have to get your focus and everything right in a very short time. So that was lucky. I got that only once in 3 years because it's just so difficult. And the same with this one. This is very unusual, what I'm going to show you here. So this is a juvenile, and I didn't even know I had this shot because it goes really less than 1 second, attacking an adult. Now watch carefully what's going to happen here. This is quite incredible. Yeah, Walt, isn't it? So it's attacking it. So this goes so fast, pushing it down into the water. So that's typically what bald eagles do. They don't usually injure themselves. This is what we would call a normal dispute, right? But it's so difficult to do. It's pushing the adult right underwater. When they come from the top, they have a lot of advantages because they have their talons out, and whoever comes from the top is king. And that's what's so incredible. I'm just going to show the shot once more. As I said, I didn't even know I had this until I went back to our, to our hotel in the evening, and I looked at it. I could not believe it because it goes so. Yeah, it is amazing footage. You do this once in 3 years, a shot, a sequence like this. I also wanted to show you how, let's see if I can find this. 1 second. How eagles actually, let's see, where is the rating? I'm not sure if it's this one. No, that's the card. No, that's not it. Sorry. I'm just going to blend this out. That is the wrong one. 1 second. Oh yeah, in the meantime, whilst I look for it, I'm going to entertain you with the following. We were just talking about the rough ride. What? Thank you so much. Thanks, Walt. I'm just going to show you quickly how rough eagles can be. This is one eagle landing on another, and that happened about 5 foot away from me. Okay, so you can see the whole sequence. And again, this happens just for a short time. You would think that their wings would be damaged, right, when they are so um, so rough with each other, but they don't. Afterwards, they get up. The only danger you have with eagles, if their talons lock, that is when they can really get injured. So eagles do attack each other, but it's very often for nesting reasons, right? It's seldom for disputes for food. You can see here it was resolved, and they just go. It's very different to human beings who have a lot of anger when they lose, and then they retaliate. Eagles don't do that. They just say, okay, let's leave it and let's just move on. And this is, let's see if this will work. Yeah, I think it shouldn't have too many frame drops, but again, it shows you me with a high-speed camera, how I was actually at work. Thanks to Jack for doing this. But again, I had a lot of problems with the cold. Yeah, okay, we have some frame drops there. That doesn't matter. But I had a lot of problems with the cold there because the batteries would just die. It's very difficult for a photographer. The temperatures go so low that your batteries die, and you always have to keep warm batteries in your pocket. You take them out of the camera, put them back into the pocket, and take out the next one. It's a complex, and then the battery recharges from the heat, actually, right? But it's a very difficult, different way of of operating. Okay, let me see if I can find that one. I'm not sure if I can still find. Let me quickly highlight Jack Molan's book because it's quite beautiful. So that's my friend, Jack Molan. It might be flipped here. I'm not sure. I may have it the wrong way. I'm not sure. Sorry about that. That's because of the virtual camera. But it says here, you can't make this stuff up. Okay, it's image mirrored. Okay, hang on. I'm going to try and flip it. Okay, I'm going to try and flip it. Just give me a second. Let's see if I can get this correct. No, that's upside down. Okay, now I have to flip it in the right direction. 1 second. Let's flip it like this. Maybe you can read it now. Yes, you can. I flipped it correctly. It's not easy with a virtual camera, by the way. So I think you should be able to read it now. You can't make the stuff up. So that's what he's saying. I can't read it on my screen because it's flipped now. My 30 years of captain in the Bering Sea, right? You have a signed copy, Peggy. And by the way, it's such a pity that I can't have Jack here with me because he's such a brilliant presenter, and he has such a wonderful way of talking. But maybe one day I can do something together with Jack. So I think that, let's see, I think that soon covers everything. Oh yeah, here is the final one I wanted to show you. That's the rating of the ship. Look at that. That's the rating of the ship. 3 minutes. Yes. That's it. Yes, that's it. So that's how that's how eagles rate a ship when you don't watch it. Okay. So Jack and I just walked by this fisherman ship, and they were out for dinner, and they had forgotten to secure their fish. And that's what happens. They raid the fish, and it just is gone in no time. It's that incredible. It's quite remarkable footage, and that's really enjoyable. I think on this note, I'm going to say thank you to all of you for listening. It was an absolute pleasure for jumping in, and thanks to Captain Jack for jumping in, although he couldn't be with me, which is a big pity because that was part of the intention. But he just couldn't make it today. So I will jump out at this stage, and thanks to all of you. Thanks, my friends. Take care.